everybody, and welcome to Electric City Sentai Denzicaster here on the ECS Network, your weekly look into the wonderful world of Tokusatsu. I'm your host, Mike, and once again this week I'm joined by
William.
And then this stranger over here.
Hi, I'm Chris.
So, we have Chris from 8-Star Anime making a very rare non-8-Star Anime appearance. He just happened to be passing by the house when he got off from work. And Will from Chopsaki Cinema here. So, this week...
I have no life. Except for a pit bull, I have no life, so there's that.
Yes, but you actually do enjoy some of these shows.
Well, Mike's house was on the way to my life, so I was just like, I'll stop by and take a road trip.
Anyway, folks.
Detour.
Today, it's episodes 15 and 16 of Choujuu Sentai Liveman. Here, the 1988 installment into the Super Sentai series. Forgive me if the synopses blend together a little bit, to be perfectly honest, because the episodes kind of bled together a little bit. Chris was not here for the first part of this, so is what it is. Episode 15 involves a high-tech combat robot called Hanako, which looks nothing like a compact high-tech robot for battle. It looks more like a cheap knockoff of R2-D2, and to be honest, it might have been.
Especially in one scene where you see it riding in the back of a car, it kind of looks like an RT unit sticking out of the back of the next wing.
No, think about it. It's Robbie the Robot and R2's kid. With the extendy arms that look like they're made out of vacuum hose.
Yeah, she had a point there.
So, anywho, essentially the robot is powered by this strange jewel that the live man have no idea what it is. They can't figure out what it is. All they know is it has infinite power. The bad guys know what it is, that it has infinite power. So how... And the scientists who made the robot, they know too. So how the scientists knew something the live men didn't know is a little boggling, because the live men are supposed to be high-end scientists. But anywho's, Joe, Yellow Lion, winds up saving the robot. The robot, I guess, falls in love with Joe.
That's why not.
Sure.
So, but becomes fascinated with Joe, and we see the typical date montage at the amusement park, except it's a robot that's about yay tall from the ground, and Joe on a skateboard, and what looks all the world like Blue Dolphin of Menominee getting jealous of a robot.
Tad bit.
Huh.
But anywho.
Tad bit.
Eventually, Hanako the robot sacrifices herself to save Joe from Gush, our robot adversary, who up to this point really his only purpose in the show is to make monsters grow. Well, in this, his purpose in the show is to walk around with a handheld shotgun and be a badass for most of the episode, actually.
Nice.
Except for the Kool-Aid Man thing was funny though.
He does bust through a couple of walls.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but in scenes that really, the way they blocked him and shot and all that thing, they really wanted you to think about Terminator during those scenes. But
Didn't work.
No, it really didn't. But anywho, that's that episode. Hanako sacrifices herself for Joe, and then Joe, righteous indignation, burning rage, goes off and takes out the monster of the week, who frankly has done almost nothing in the entire episode except, cut them off so that they couldn't run from Gush, and that's about it.
Huh.
And they end up like blowing off Gush's arm in this.
His left arm.
His left arm.
Not his Giga Phantom arm.
Which is his right arm.
Which is his right arm. Not the Make My Monster Grow arm, but the other one. Much to Will's chagrin. And then episode 16 revolves around what I highly suspect was them realizing they had more episodes, had more scripts than they had episodes, and they just picked two at random and smashed them together. So
that's not wrong.
Basically, the Monster of the Week is using the souls of all of the dead students from Academia Island, from the Science Academy.
From the first episode.
Yep, from the first couple episodes there. Using their souls to create Zhang Shi, basically hopping ghost zombies, sort of a Chinese mythology-based monster of the week. And somewhere in here, the letters, the talismans and whatnot that are stuck to their head are all letters that were left at Academia Island. And, Yusuke, Red Falcon, recognizes one of them as a love letter that he once wrote and is very, very ashamed of. So this is where the episode derails into a completely different story, which is all about Yusuke's shame at having written love letters to who we eventually find out was Mazinda before she was Mazinda and turned heel and all that stuff. And then they go back to your regularly scheduled monster flick.
Yep.
So, and that, frankly, is pretty much the episode. So,
she was cold. Like, I mean, I know she's evil, but I mean, that was just.
She was a stone cold bitch.
I mean, damn.
Slightly heartless. That's what that was.
I'm sure we've all been let down at some point in our lives, but that was just straight up like done.
That was like mic drop done on that one. It's like, I mean, you can say no and be like, look, this isn't going to work out. Yeah, I speak from experience because this happened to me a lot. This is like, it's not gonna work out. I understand. Like, you can still be friends if you want to. No, she got none of this.
How dare you, someone who merely succeeded at getting into the academy, even think that you could hook up with a top student like me? Yeah, bone. So aside
and drops the man's love letter into the sewer for that matter.
She really did. So, general impressions of this pair of episodes. Is this the first bit of Live Man you've actually seen, Chris, or have you seen some?
I saw the first episode.
You saw the first episode, okay.
But impressions of these episodes?
Yeah.
I have to. Your description of the last one seemed a little more eventful than the
one
15,
you watched.
Yeah, 15 sound more eventful than 16 did.
Well, that's because they were only working from one script.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, it's not that 16 was, uneventful. It's just that the event was kind of like
confusing and contrived.
Yeah,
that's the way it felt to me. But
yeah,
you pretty much.
Yeah, I'll agree with all that.
What did you think of 15? Because you and I both watched 15, so
I thought it was slightly far fetched, but at least it had a clear and concise plot. And I actually like the fact that you got to see Gush do more than.
Kick off and
and then leave. It's like there was this whole thing I was saying, like in the first couple episodes, you actually see him kind of like in the planning with everybody.
Yeah.
Right. You don't even see him in there anymore. Only time you see Gush is when he's just like, gotta go do the whole monster grow thing. I'll be right back. Somebody hold my coffee.
Yeah, that's actually what it seems like.
Seriously.
He's just like he's always in the shadows, just like. Wait for it. Yeah, I'm useful.
So old school tokusatsu, old school Super Sentai always had these characters that it was like the one badass looking dude in the background.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're sitting there and he'll always be in the background of stuff. He'll always be in the background of the planet, he's in the background of all this stuff, and he never does anything. But he's always in the background. And you're sitting there and it builds the anticipation when you sit there and go, he's got to be a badass. He has to be. When he does something to shit his own, he's got to be a badass. That's the way they started with Gush. And then we find out he's the MacGuffin that makes the monsters grow, and it's just it's kind of dumb at that point. But
I think what they were banking on was the professor being that badass eventually.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's the big bad. You kind of expect that. So.
Well, the big bad in old school Super Sentai shows and old school Toku in general. My favorite example for anyone out there who's never heard this before, my favorite example is actually the great leader of Shocker in the original Kamen Rider, or as I like to call him, the Blue Light Special, because you never even saw him. He literally was, for most of that series, it was a Nazi-looking eagle on a wall with a blue light for its eye, and the light would light up in sync with him talking, and that's all you would ever actually see of him for most of the series. His generals would do all the work, and the badassery of the big bad comes from when he's finally sick and tired of whatever the general is doing, and he says, okay, either you go stop the hero or I kill you. And so now this general you've seen who's been, had his moments of badass over ever how many episodes, sits there and goes, well, I could walk out here and fight Kamen Rider and I might get kicked in the face. Or I can stay put and I know I'm dead. I'd rather go fight Kamen Rider. And that's kind of where their badassery comes from. It's like, I stand here and face certain death, or I go out and I fight the hero and I might survive. So, like I said, I think they've set Gush up. They wanted to. And this is sort of I think the reminder of he's not nothing. He does something. He's not the Terminator. But, what was something that stood out in these pair of episodes that you liked, Will?
The fact that they actually used Gush for more than just make my monster grow. I actually like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else, because in episode 16 there was something I liked. I just couldn't remember what it was. Oh, you got to see more of Yusuke's a little more character development.
Yeah.
I actually like that. So those were the main two things that I liked. Because I actually did like the fact that, oh my god, Gush can do something besides the whole be useful for 2 seconds kind of thing. Now I now actually want to see him be utilized a lot more. So
I like any part of this show, and I've seen Liveman all the way through. I like any part of this show that mingles the backstories of our heroes with the 3 main doctors, because they all did go to school together, so they had to have crossed paths. So anything that makes that a deeper story, I enjoy, because it's something very unique in Super Sentai. That's not something that pops up a whole lot. That I liked. And I like Gush. I'll echo what Will said on that. How about you? You only saw the zombie love episode.
That's the full episode you saw.
Yes, that's the full episode you saw. What do you think? What was something you liked?
I like the use of the zombies all the time. I mean, I like the idea of the fight and all that kind of stuff. And then I like how they figured out that, if we just pretend we're them, they realize there's no enemies around. Oh, wait, hey, look at that, it worked. All right, let's move on. I mean, it was a little far-fetched, but I liked how it worked. I mean,
it's a bit campy, but yeah.
Yeah, it worked, and I liked it. So
what's something you didn't like? Something you didn't care for?
To be honest, I didn't like that end. That was 2 episodes in one. I thought that just seemed weird to me. Because the thing is neither it was loosely tied together by one slip paper.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of like, eh.
It's like, and story arc here.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. It was kind of like, we get to the point where monsters are showing up, and then we're going to flip it to the other side of things. All right, that story's over. Let's flip it back.
I've seen M. Night Shyamalan scripts that had better plot cohesion. I'm gonna echo Chris on that.
Which one?
Yeah. The one where the kids saw dead people. That might be the only good one. So I mean, this was better than that. This was better than Last Airbender, but pretty much everything is. So, anywho, the episode 16, I thought was really poorly written. It was well executed for what they got. Give credit where it's due, but you could have built an entire episode around the whole Yusuke was once in love with Mazenda and had something burning for him, and you could have built an entire plot around the Jiangxi ghosts being made of Academia Island's dead students. To me, that felt like such a compelling story to tell, and you could have done so much more with that, where maybe they recognize some of the students, like, oh no, this is so-and-so, or this so-and-so, or even if 2 of the students had been the 2 friends in the first episode that had gotten shot and killed, and they have to fight their friends kind of thing. There was so much more they could have done with it. They didn't. So that's one thing. And he liked the fight with the Jiangxi. I hated the fight with the Jiangxi, because as much as they hop around like a vampire, they won't realize that we're not them. That works to a point. And that point being, at any point that one of those monsters is smart enough to go, you're not in a white suit, you're wearing a spandex costume, you've got a strange colored helmet on, and there's not a slip of paper hanging from your face.
Not the talisman.
Yeah, so there's it was a very campy's a good word. Contrived is the word I would have used, but it just as a plan, it made no damn sense to me. Though I will say, I did dig that the monster after he grew, and I don't know if y'all knows this, after they have him grow big, when he's fighting Super Live Robo, he's hopping along because he's dead at that point. Yeah, he's already died once. So I thought that was
fun. That was amusing.
Something you didn't care for. Can we leave the Biomotion Buster out for a change? Because that's the one you always use.
Yes, I actually wasn't going to say that this time.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with you about the execution of that episode. I will agree about it not being that well written. Mm-hmm. And I do understand they were working with what they got. They were working with what they had, but I just didn't like the way the episode was executed with the whole love story and thing, because it literally seemed like what Chris was saying, that here's plot A, here's plot B. Plot B doesn't seem to have that much of it in there. Let's go back to plot A and mix in parts of plot B. That's what it kind of seemed like to me. Mm-hmm. And while that can work, it just seemed the way they executed parts of it and weren't really all there. And plus, I do agree with you. They could have, if they had made that 2 separate storylines, you could pull a lot more out of both of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there was a lot more meat on the bones for both of those plots that they could have been separate episodes. I almost think you almost could have put the Yusuke love story plot in the Hanako episode actually would have been better put together as one, because at least they would have both been love stories.
And it would have that would actually made a little more sense, because you could have it kind of like flashbacks, the whole thing. You don't necessarily have to make the love letters like this embarrassing thing that's part of the whole thing with the monster. You could just had it as part of something that he remembers and that he was embarrassed about, and he just didn't want to tell anybody.
Yeah. There were ways to do it, and even ways to blend it with other stories, but they failed. So, all in all,
can't win them all.
You know, a little bit of filler, and but good on you for doing something with Gush. So there you go. So, final thoughts on what you're looking forward to, Will?
More stuff with Gush that adds actually more than Make My Monster, as well as more intertwined character stories like that. I'm a big fan of storytelling, so that really helps me out with learning more about the system. And Ashura. And you got to see him be like basically like, you know what I'm gonna do? See this guy over here? He's pretty much an idiot. I'm gonna turn him into like this badass. Does that? I was like, I want to see him take more of that kind of a lead role again. So.
And we see him do a little bit of that in 16, where you have the souls and whatnot coming together, but you have the other, you have 2 of the doctors going, well, I can do this, and Asha goes, I can do that, and Professor Bice goes, yes, but you both failed a lot. You both keep failing, and you're both miserable embarrassments, and I'm ashamed of you. So why don't y'all sit this one out and just watch? Yeah. So we see a little bit of frustration coming out of Professor Bice a little bit. How about you? What would you be looking forward to? Assuming, assuming you come around and watch this with us.
That's what I'm saying. More Lad Man.
More Lad Man. You enjoying this show?
For what I saw about it, I did like it.
Very good. Like I said, I've often said this is one of my favorite Super Sentai shows ever. It's probably my favorite 80s Sentai. So, really cool show. What I'm looking forward to, I'm really just looking forward to rewatching the show and seeing everything again, because it's a damn good show. And there's some cool stuff to come. I enjoy the first half of the show more than I enjoyed the second half, if memory serves. But they do some really good storytelling in this show, and some really good work. This is 88 and 89 is kind of that period in tokusatsu history where they start to transition from everything Toku was to everything Toku would become. Where they go from Monster of the Week every week, very episodic television, to actually doing some long-serving, long-arcing plots. So this to me is always a very interesting time in Toku history. So glad you're along for the ride, and for you guys out there who picked this as the show we're going to watch, good job. So, with that said, folks, we hope you've enjoyed this week. Thank you for bringing us into your home or your tablet or your car ride to work or what the heck ever you were watching us from. If you want to help support the ECS Network, any of the shows, whether it's 8-Star Anime or Chopsaki Cinema or Denzicaster or even Rage Quit Radio, any of the shows here on the ECS Network, then please feel free to jump over to our Cafe Press store, cafepress.com/ECS Network. Pick yourself up a cool t-shirt or other paraphernalia. If you prefer, you can go over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/ECS Network, and become one of our patrons. That's been revamped as by the time you're seeing this. I'm pretty sure Chris is asleep beside me at this point. Oh, no, his eyes are still open. Okay.
I just kind of look like it.
No, well, you sound like it, too. But anyway.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
But you become one of our patrons over there as well. We would greatly appreciate it. All that goes to help the network, whether it's tripods or new lighting. Both of their shows need lights. So.
I definitely need at least a stand.
Yes.
We at least got that.
Yeah, so there you go. There's lots of stuff we can use to help improve the network, and you guys can help, and we appreciate everything you do for us, including just watching. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. That helps too. And leave us some comments. Tell us what you think. So, folks, until next time, here on Denzicaster, we'll see you in 7 days. I'm Mike.
William.
Chris.
And we'll see you next week on Denzicaster.